Hi everybody, welcome back to our RV Life channel. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update on where we are this weekend. So it's Memorial Day 2021 and we are camping in the North Woods of Wisconsin up in Chute Pond. It's a county campground in Oconto County, deep in the middle of the North Woods. So I think we are, the closest town is Mountain, which is I think about 1,000 people. It's about 10 or 15 minutes away. So
I think it has a gas station and an ice cream shop.
And that's about it.
And that's it.
And you can tell a lot about the area you are in based on the kind of things that they stock at the gas stations. And this gas station has probably 85% liquor, 10% snacks of various types when people get hungry after they've been drinking, and then 5% of normal things that you see at a gas station. So that was kind of funny. It goes to show that the old joke that people in the North Woods of Wisconsin like to drink and not much else is probably kind of true. So.
Yep, we've been walking around the campground and I think like 6 or 7 sites have beer pong set up. So.
Yeah, I think the overall theme of this campground is spring break in the North Woods.
There you go.
It is definitely the loudest campground we've ever been to. We're not huge party animals. We kind of, at 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock when the sun goes down, our day is pretty much over and we just like to kick back and relax inside the RV. I think last night there was a disco,
Yeah.
a couple of
I think it
campsites
stopped
down.
at 2 a.m.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it was really loud music.
if you are looking for peace and quiet, this is probably not the place
No.
for you.
Or maybe not a Memorial Day weekend. I think we just came at a bad time.
It could be. It could be that it's just a holiday weekend. We've seen a lot of group campers. I mean, some sites have 10 or 12 cars that are all together. They all have tents, and they're all just filling one giant site. So it's been, maybe that's just an oddity, and we just happen to be here on a weekend where it's, a holiday. So maybe you would have better luck on a different weekend, or maybe that's the kind of thing you're into, and if that's the case, this is definitely the place for you, because most of the people here definitely like to party. So the other thing that we noticed about this campground is, well, to put it nicely, it's not laid out very well.
And the sites are small and they're all kind of, it's like your backyard, you're all sharing a backyard.
So
like there's woods, but you can still see everybody. Like you can see probably like 4 rows to the left of us. So
I would say that if you don't also like watching your neighbors do every single thing every day, this is probably also not the place for you, because some of these sites are so close together that they could definitely be considered buddy sites. The people right next door to us, their RVs are basically diagonal to each other, and then they kind of have to share 2 sites with no space in between them. So we book our site a year ahead of time, right when the reservations open up, and we probably got the nicest site right in basically the corner of the park, with nobody behind us. I mean, behind us on the other side of the camera, all you can see is trees and forest and nothing else, which is great. And we also probably got one of the best sites in terms of how level it is. I think when they made this campground, they basically just cut down some trees, made a clearing, and said, yep, that's good. I don't think there was any effort made of leveling things out. Most of the sites are on hills. You have to go up steep dirt roads to get to them. So your truck or whatever you're pulling with will definitely get a workout. So that was also interesting. I think I've never seen such creative leveling have to be done by people in other sites. I mean, we basically half of the sites that we've walked by, the RV's A-frames are basically just touching the ground, because that's the only way that they could get them level, or at least close to level. So that's interesting. The other thing is the water hookup for fresh water is connected to the shower house.
Oh, that was awful.
So not only is it connected to the shower house, but the road that you have to park your RV on to actually stop there and hook up everything and fill up your RV with fresh water blocks the entire road that 10 or 12 sites, going into a loop of campsites. So while you're filling up water, nobody can get in
And then
or
you have
out.
to back in to get water too.
And you have to
So-
back in very close to the bathhouse.
And then sometimes people park, you're not supposed to, but people do, they park right where the water spout is. So you either have to park them in and hopefully they'll just wait for you to leave, or you just have to wait for them to leave, which could be they could be taking showers, so you have to wait 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, that happened to us this morning.
Yeah.
When we went to refill, because we were here for longer than our tanks allow, so we basically had to refill again in the middle of our stay. And somebody parked their truck there because they just thought that that was an empty spot for parking their cars and not for the fill-ups. So we basically had to block them in. And then in the middle of filling up, they wanted to get out, so we had to unhook everything, back the trailer up again, and then come back in and start filling again. So it's been interesting. The other thing is the dump site. They have one dump for the entire campground, which I think is going to be very interesting when these
Memorial Day weekend on Monday when everybody leaves.
Yeah, I would bet that there's at least 100 RVs here in this entire campground. I think I've seen maybe a dozen tent sites. All the rest of them are
Yeah.
RVs. So if everybody decides to go and dump at the same time tomorrow morning when they're leaving for after the long weekend, it's gonna be very interesting.
And it's also, you would probably just have to wait on the road for everybody because they only have one entrance or one exit, and the dump station is right along the exit. So then if there's people waiting, then even if you're not waiting for the water, I think you'd still probably pile up behind if there's not enough room to get around.
Yeah.
But we'll find out tomorrow.
We will find out tomorrow. And that's also another reason why we decided to dump and fill up again today. Just because if there is problems at the dump tomorrow, we're basically just going to try and see if we can get out a different way and then dump at a campground that's nearby to our house and just use and pay and use their dump and just get that over with. So instead of having to wait in line. So that's also going to be very interesting. I don't know if they, did all these things kind of intentionally, or if this is just an old campground. And what we were talking about is we think that it used to be a tenting campground where, because they have 4 or 5 shower houses scattered all throughout the campground, which is a lot. But if the majority of your people are tent camping, then I could see that, that's a need. And I think they just converted a lot of these sites to electric, and then just said, okay, go ahead and start bringing your RVs in, and we'll build a dump in the middle of the woods. It's literally just off the access road in the middle of the woods.
Because for a county park, it's really nice if you are tent camping because each circle has their own bathroom with showers. So a lot of the times if you go to a county or state park, they have more pit toilets spread about. And here, I've never seen a county park with this many bathrooms. I think there's like 4.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Which is nice,
I think,
if you're waiting in line for a shower.
It's definitely a beautiful place.
Oh yeah.
Like this is an absolutely gorgeous campground in the middle of the North Woods, but it definitely has some question marks as far as the design of it, and we think that's because it was converted over from a tenting campground, and I guess they just didn't make a lot of effort to kind of make it RV friendly. A lot of the sites are also not, in addition to being level, a lot of the sites are also not that great to get in and out of. I think ours is probably one of the easiest ones to get in and out of. A lot of times you have RVs that are bracketed by trees on both sides, so you have to be very careful how you back in, a lot of tight turns, and I think that's again just from the fact that this is not really meant or was designed for RV.
Yeah, the roads are
camping.
tiny. I'm surprised there's so many RV because there's RVs bigger than ours too. I don't know how they could do it.
Yeah, and I think if you have anything over 30 feet, you're going to be seriously challenged unless you happen to book a site that's flat and level and kind of just in the middle of the park next to the showers. I think that's the only way that you could get away with something like that. So, and again, I think that's another reason why we kind of picked a smaller RV for our first RV, because we're, relatively speaking, kind of small and nimble compared to some of the, the huge fifth wheelers and things like that. So um, that's definitely a plus as well. So if you watched the last video, you'll remember me talking about some of the things that we've learned. And one of the things that I learned on the last trip is always apologize in advance for the things you're about to say when you're backing up the camper, the trailer. And I have a shirt that says that. I'm sure
You forgot to bring it along.
I did forget to bring it along this time, so I think that was the problem. Because when we first came in, the backing in and setting up was, I think, really smooth, really fast. Because I think, we've had some experience now and just getting more and more experience. But I think when we went to dump and refill our water this morning, we were in a rush a little bit, or we were just expecting to do exactly what we did last time, and that it was
I
just
think
going
because
to
it
be
was so
easy.
easy the first time, we're like, oh, we can do this again.
Yeah, and I think we struggled a lot more this time around. So one of the things that I learned this time is always chalk your RV or trailer wheels before you unhook from your hitch. Our site, the back of our RV, is on a hill, and as soon as we unhitched, the RV starts rolling back. So I try to grab it. I don't know what I was thinking. Like I'm going to be able to pull a 7,000-pound trailer back into spot. And I thought I was doing it, so I felt like Superman for a little bit. And then I realized, the safety chains are still on. And they're doing basically all the work, and I'm just pretending to be Superman over here. So that was definitely very interesting. There was a lot of, let's just say, raised emotions. Raised voices and raised emotions.
If you didn't know, so we have a couple totes, and we didn't know where the chocks were. So he had me go through like every single tote until we found it. And
all in the meantime, while I think I'm holding the RV and like pulling
I'm
on
like,
it.
wow, my husband's strong.
Yeah, pulling on it with all my life when I realized I'm not even doing any of the work. So thankfully the truck was in park, and the emergency brake was on. So that part we got right. But yeah, lesson learned, always check your wheels before you disconnect from the truck. Because I was thinking afterwards, once we got everything figured out and we kind of fixed everything, got the trailer hooked back up to the truck and pulled it out a little bit and then disconnected the right way after we chalked the wheels. I just pictured the RV rolling back into the forest behind us, down that entire hill, and it would have been a disaster. So the safety chains definitely saved us this time. And I think that also goes to the lesson of never expect things to be easy and never ever rush through things. Because we realized the reason why we didn't have to chalk last time is because we used levelers, the Anderson levelers, the red kind of semicircle, and those kind of are basically self-chalks. Once they're up on that level, you don't have to really chalk anymore. We have the X cross brace chalks that go between the wheels, which are really nice. But that's the reason why we didn't really have to chalk beforehand, because we already did that when we leveled the RV. So this time we didn't have to do that. We didn't have to put in the levelers, and of course then we didn't put in any chalks, and yeah, the rest is history. So crisis averted.
Lesson learned.
And lesson learned.
Yeah.
So
it could have been a lot worse.
I guess a little bit more about the campground and this weekend. So it is Memorial Day. It's also Jackie's birthday, and it is also our nephew's birthday this weekend as well. So they are up here celebrating with us. They're off getting some ice cream right now.
Yeah.
So I'm a little jealous, but I'll survive. I'll think of something else. Maybe I'll sneak off later and get some on our way out of town. We'll see. RV friendly parking, so if you are ever in the area, that's definitely a good place to stop. So the other thing that is obviously a big draw up here is all of the nature around us. So
And the pond.
and the pond. So we'll be rolling in some drone footage that we took of the area, so you can kind of see everything that's around. The big draw, obviously, is the pond, which I guess I'll put in quotes because it's really a lake.
It's really, yeah.
I mean, if that's a pond,
And it has a really cool
yeah.
dam too.
There's a dam.
There's a swimming area for kids.
Yep.
It's not huge, but it's enough for kids. You know, they don't care. They just it was a little bit cold. I think my niece and nephew went in up to their waist, and usually kids can handle anything, but they couldn't do any more.
It might get better as the
Yeah.
season goes on,
Yeah, I'm
because it's
sure.
still pretty early. It's late May, which in Wisconsin is still kind of cold. I mean, it dropped down to 34, 35 degrees pretty much every night overnight still, and at the end of May. So I would expect that probably gets better towards the end of the season. But the fact that there's a dam there and they just keep the water flowing through it all the time, I don't know how much time it really has to warm up. So that might be something to keep in mind. It's great for boats, great for kayaking, great for paddling. We've seen a lot of those. So yeah, it's definitely, if you're into nature, this is the place to be, whether that's hiking or...
Yep, in the middle of the park they have a really cool hiking area. They have a place called Slippery Rock, which I think you can slide down the rock. It looked a little dangerous, but I think maybe some teenagers do it. You can slide down the rocks. We'll have footage on that too.
Yeah, it depends on how adventurous you are.
Yeah, but it looked really cool. And there's some spots that you could go swimming there too.
Yeah, definitely lots to do. I don't think you would ever get bored if you're here. Well, maybe if you're here longer than a week or something.
What's nice is dogs are allowed on everywhere, on every trail, except for the beach area, but that's usually not a problem, the beaches.
Yeah. And even if you can't take your dog there, you can find probably some other places where you can go swimming with the dog along some of the trails that are around the rest of the lake. So...
Another nice thing is they have a little convenience store, so if you forgot something, and I think they might have some snacks for the kids too.
Yeah, firewood.
Which usually I don't think county parks usually have, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah, and it is staffed.
Yeah.
So there's a staff member there doing check-in and things like that, answering questions, doing, if we want to go see this, what's the best place to do it, things like that. So the one other thing that is really... I guess this area is known for is ATVing. We've seen a ton of ATVs just kind of zipping around. And in fact, all of the sites in our loop, in our part of the campground, are designated as ATV sites. So they should be big enough if you have an ATV or two to kind of park that in the middle. You might have to unhook first. And kind of reposition whatever you're towing with to be able to do that, but you should be able to do that without any problems. So ATVs don't need to be level, so you shouldn't have any problems there. It's more a problem for the actual RVs. So
It's a very kid-friendly park too. There's tons of families with kids, and there's because there's tons of stuff for them to do. There's a playground which our niece and nephew spend a lot, I think, half the day at. It's not big, but they don't care. And then obviously the beach area.
yeah, they're definitely having fun.
Yeah.
So what do we think of this campground? I think overall we're really enjoying the time that we have here in nature. That being said, would we ever come back here? Probably not. just because of all the issues and kind of the logistics of how it's set up, make it kind of difficult to enjoy your time with your RV. If you're tent camping, that's probably definitely better. Or if you have a very small RV, that might also be better and easier for you. But we might look for a different one in the area, just because a little competition is always a healthy thing. So for the rest of our time here, it's time to eat some cake, celebrate some birthdays, celebrate Memorial Day, remember all those that fell for our country, and honor them.
We have a month break, and then we're gonna start moving west.
Yeah, so the next time that this RV moves, after we haul it home, it's going to be heading down to Arizona. Lots more to come, obviously. That's going to be a big trip for us. Not sure if we'll have time to do a video at every single campground along the way, but there's definitely going to be a wrap-up video maybe once we are in Arizona. We'll take lots of pictures, maybe some smaller videos, and then put that all together into probably just one big trip video for you guys. So with that said, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.